Hi, Steve from Chorus Guitar. Hope everybody's cool and well. And what you've just heard is my preset build for the Ampero II from Hotone. And Hotone said to me, could you build some presets for us? And I said, well, I'll start off with doing a JCM 800 style tone. And that's what you've just heard. Now, all the sounds apart from the drums were actually done on this. So the bass guitar modeling was done on this, as well as my preset build for the JCM 800. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video which I'll pop on all my builds, which will show you how to calibrate the volume pedal or you know, expression pedal 1 and expression pedal 2, which works on this treadle. You've also got another expression pedal output on this that you can do as well. But I'll show you how to do the first two, and that will get you nice and started. Now, this preset does involve an added drive pedal and also a delay pedal and also an EQ, which should give you a boost. So that'd be really cool for, you know, if you're recording in the studio or in your room or wherever you're doing it, or if you're using it as a live rig. So that's why I did it. So let's have a look at how to do the calibrations for the pedals. Right, so here we have the setup for the expression pedals. I'll show you how to do that. So what I've got an empty patch here at the moment. I'm going to press the S, and what it does, it shows us the signal chain down here. Now I am going to change the signal chain later on, as it's showing two signal chains at the moment, and I just want one. But first of all, I'm just going to pop in a noise gate, which comes under the Dynamics DYN. Pop one of those in, choose the AI gate, and that'll pop that there. Next, I'm going to go and get myself a volume control, which should be at the bottom somewhere. There you go. That's in block number 2. And in block number 3, I normally use a wah. And for this, I'm going to use a Cry-Wah Plus. You can use what you like, but I'm going to use a Cry-Wah Plus. Okay, so that has got those set up now. So what we need to do now is we need to set up the expression pedal. Now you can see here it says none. It says nothing's been selected. So what you do, just press that, tell it it's the volume pedal, and then go back like so. And then what I need to do now is I need to calibrate it. Press the calibration. As you can see, it says lift the pedal fully up towards the heel. So I'm going to do that with my hand. Okay, press next. And then it says press it forwards towards the toe. Do that, press next. And then it says press strongly. Now, I'm actually doing this with my hand, so I'm really going to kind of just press that hard and press next. And that's completed that. That's brilliant. And say it is quite hard to push down, so don't worry if you can't do it very well. Normally you're using your foot and putting a lot of weight on it. I'm using my hand at the moment, so that's going to be a bit tricky. Okay, so let's have a look at the expression pedal 2 setting. Go to that one. See how it's turned blue? It says none at the moment. So what I want to do is press on the wah, and I'm going to go for position. Yeah, so you can see it says position there. Lovely. Let's go back. Let's calibrate that. Let's go to that. Hold that down. Calibrate. And do the same. Heel. Next. Toe. Press next. And press strongly. Okay, and that's completed that. So now, and it's set in position, you see. So now when we press the foot switch, it changes it to the amber or orange colour. That will be your volume control. Go to your wah. And then it goes to the blue. I had to push it a few times. If I was stood up, it'd be a lot easier, and I was putting pressure on with my weight. But as you can see, and I can go from one to the other here with my finger. And that's how it works. So that's how you would calibrate the treadle pedal on the Ampero II. It's a nice little pedal as well. I really like that. And the grip on it is amazing. Lovely, solid grip. So that's how you do the calibration. And let's get on with how to build the preset. Right, so now we're into the build section. And what you can see on the screen is the very nice Hotone Ampero II software. Now, it's quite easy to get around, which is really nice. And I've used quite a lot of software from different manufacturers. And we're going to firstly start, and I've already laid it down with the AI gate, okay? Because we're using a quite distorted sound. We're going to need a noise gate. It's set to input left, and the threshold on that is set to 38. Following on to the volume, I'm going to set it to 100. So that's going to be your volume pedal. You're going to be able to use that to obviously do swells and whatever. I would normally set it to logarithmic on the pedal itself. I can't see any way of doing it on this software. There may be, but I haven't found it as yet. Okay, so I'm still learning the software myself. Okay, so onto the wah. Now I've used a Dunlop Crybaby wah myself. I've got one in the studio. Great wahs, and the pretty famous wahs used by the masses. And this one is the Crybaby Plus, which is the 535Q. Okay, there's quite a lot of things you can do with it, and I've got it set to range 3, Q50, volume 50, position 100, and the boost range is 50. Right, onto the next block. So I select that. There we go. What we're going to do is we're going to add the Comparoma 4. Okay, this is based on a Keeley C4 4-knob compressor, and as we know, Keeley are amazing at making pedals and modding and whatever. And this, what I've got to do is I'm going to set this compressor to sustain 20, the attack 60, output 50, and the clipping as it is at 10. So everything's set up all ready to rock. Okay, I'm going to go to the next block. And the next block, I'm going to select a drive pedal. Now, this is one of the most famous drive pedals out. They're not overly expensive in reality, but they are used by the greats. And this drive pedal I'm going to use is the Green Drive, and that is based on the Ibanez TS808 Tube Screamer. Okay, and they are just brilliant for giving the front end of your amp a little bit of a boost, and they're wonderful. So let's have a look at the settings that I'm going to set for that. I'm going to set the gain at 40. The tone on here I'm going to take down a little bit to 46, and the volume I'm going to take that down to 22. In fact, I'll do that down there. It's going to be quicker. There we have it. Okay, make sure that when you're setting these patches up, as I've made the mistake myself, to move to the next block, because otherwise, if you leave it on the same thing and you change it, you lose it. Okay, you'll find that out. Okay, now let's have a look at the next thing that I'm going to put on. And that's going to be the amp. And we're going to go down to the amp section here. And we're going to be looking at the Marshall 800. So let's pop that there. And the settings for the amp that's based on the JCM 800 amp head is gain at 60. So I'm going to ramp that gain up a little bit. The presence I'm going to set to 48. So just lower that very slightly. Master at 50 as is. Bass, just going to drop that to 40. Middle at 35. And the treble, I'm just going to drop down slightly to 45. And in a moment we can have a listen to what's going on here. So if you look here also, I've got this set here to serial. So what you do to set that to serial is if you go to the factory template, you'll see there's lots of different versions of how you can set your signal chain up. So I've got it set to this one at the bottom, but if you wanted to split the chain to a parallel, so you could have a guitar on the top and I don't know, a vocal, for example, at the bottom, because this is all equipped for that sort of thing. It's a fantastic pedal, or processor, should I say. That's where you do it. Okay, so as you can see, the signal chain is going down to the end here, just like a virtual patch lead, I guess, and straight down here. So you're using all the processing power. Now we're going to go to here, to this block here, and we're going to select the cab. Now the cab that I'm going to select is called the UK Custom. That's what it's called, and it lives somewhere down here. There it is. Okay. Now what we've got here is we've got a nice selection of things we can do with the cab. So we don't just get the cab, we can change it slightly. So I'm going to change it from a dynamic 57, which is based, as far as I can see, on the Shure 57 mic, which I own myself. Now you'll find that these are quite, I don't know, they have quite a lot of high end on the mic, and I prefer a little bit of warmth, especially on this patch. And I'm going to use a Ribbon 121. Now the Ribbon 121 is based on the Royer R121, and that's got a nice bit of warmth to it. Also, we can set the microphone to a different position, and I'm using near center. The volume I've left at 50, but the low cut, this is where we can get rid of low frequencies, and sometimes people use the word flubby, and you'll certainly know what it sounds like when you've got bass that just isn't focused. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my low cut to 99 Hertz. There you go. And my high cut, especially when I'm playing live, I need my high cuts taken down a little bit, otherwise it gets very, very fizzy. So I don't want a fizzy sound, I want something that's just right in the zone. And I'm going to set this to 6860, and that will be kilohertz. It does say hertz here, I think, but it is kilohertz. Okay, now then, we should be able to get a bit of a bearing on what this amp sounds like. Now, there's not going to be any reverb at the moment, but let's have a listen. I'll take the drive off so we can just hear the amp on its own. So that's just on the front pickup. Let's have a listen to it on the bridge, on the humbucker. Nice, that sounds pretty cool. Okay, so next let's have a look what we're going to pop onto it. I'm going to select an EQ, and the EQ that I'm going to use is the EQ2. So let's have a look down here, go down to your EQ, select your EQ, guitar EQ2, and here we have a nice graph EQ. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Now, what I'm going to use the EQ for is as a boost. So when you're soloing, you're probably going to want to knock up the volume a little bit, and of course, when you raise the volume on things, especially live, we get what's called the Fletcher-Munson curve, and that means that our brains perceive things to be more bassy and more trebly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and offset that a little bit, and I certainly did that with the cab, where I took down, I looked after the lower frequencies and the higher frequencies to stop that fizz. So this is what I'm going to set on this one. 100 Hertz, 0. The same with your 500 Hertz. The 1K is going to live where it is. But the 3 kilohertz, which is the more higher, we're starting to get a little bit higher end, I'm going to take that down to -8. And the 6 kilohertz, I'm going to take that down to -25. Now the 6 kilohertz is really where you've got that high peaky sound. So I'm taking it down to -25. There we go. And the volume, I'm going to ramp it up by 25 to 75, which might make up for the frequency losses down here. You will find that when you play about with the 1K, you can lose quite a bit of volume, so careful there. Now, if you are using a high gain amp, just a little bit of extra information for you. If you want that sort of Metallica kind of sound, or that kind of band type of sound, that kind of genre, you can take that 1K down, but do give yourself a little bit of adjustment on the volume so that you bring your volume back in line. Right. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to pop on a delay. And I'm just going to pop my delay at the end here. And let's find the delay. Here we go. Now the delay that I'm going to use is, so I'm looking at my notes at the moment, is the analog delay. Okay. So the analog delay is going to give you that warmth. This is a mono one, and it sounds lovely. So let's have a look at the settings. So the mix I'm going to set it at is 20. The time, I'm just going to drop it down from 500 milliseconds. 500 milliseconds is half a second. Pop it down to 475. My feedback's set at 20. The feedback is how many repeats the delay has. The level, I'm going to leave at 50. Sync off, trail on. There we go. So now, if we have a listen to that. It's a nice delay. Nothing too much in your face. If you do want to turn the delay up, just go to the mix, turn it up. If you want it to be longer, obviously time, more repeats, feedback, and there you go. So what we're going to have in the last one is something I can't really do without when I'm using a guitar amp, is reverb. I really don't like dry guitar amps. It's just me, just my thoughts on the matter. We're going to use a small plate. Now this has got a nice selection of reverbs here, but I think the small plate's pretty nice, and I'm going to use that on the Hotone. If you own a Hotone GP5 or GP50 or whatever, you can check out my videos on that system, owned by Hotone, and they sound brilliant. They're great value for money. But we've kind of gone up a league with the Ampero II from those. They're brilliant, but this is up a league. Okay, so let's have a look at that. We've got the small plate, and my settings for that are mix on 10. So I don't want too much of that. When I'm playing live, I don't like too much reverb. Otherwise, as the volume goes up, it seems to wash out a little bit. Pre-delay, I'll leave it on 0 milliseconds. The decay is how long your reverb is, and 50 is fine on this small plate. Sounds great for that. Low damp set to 50, high damp on 50. And I'm going to take this mod off. Now the mod is like a modulation sort of effect on it, and I'd rather not have it on this particular patch. It's a nice sound, but I'd rather leave it off. So let's have a listen to it now, and I might just turn that delay off in a second. Let's have a listen to it with the delay on for time. Can't really hear it that well, but take that delay off. If I turn the mix up from 10, you'll definitely hear it. Let's have a listen to that. Let's put it to 20. Very rock godish, isn't it? But I tend to put it at 10. And that's what it sounds like. Okay, so that's your reverb, and that is pretty much the setup as far as laying it all down. But now what we want to do is we could do with popping down some of these pedals onto our main pedal itself, onto the Ampero II, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Right, let's set up the pedal for you so you can see what's going off there. If we go up to this icon here, this gives you your patch settings part of the software. Now it's pretty easy to do. What you can see is here it's laid out as it's laid out above, so you can see, and I've got two empty things here as I have here, you see, so it's all laid out. That's nice and easy to see. What I want to do is I'd like to assign my drive pedal, which we'll hear in a bit. I don't think I've played it yet. I'm going to assign that to the foot switch 1. Okay, for foot switch 2, I just click on that, and what I'd like to assign to foot switch 2 is my delay pedal. Okay, that's done there. And foot switch 3, I'd like to assign the EQ pedal, which will give you a boost. Yeah, so that's that set. I'm just going to go to the here, and then I'm going to go to save. I'd hate to lose it. Okay, go to save patch. If you want to build other patches that are similar to this, and you know, you might want to just change amps and whatever, but you like what you've got before it, you can go to save template, which will save you a heap load of time. So I'm going to go to save patch. It's on patch number A342 on mine, and my patch name here, I can change it to, I don't know, JCM 802, let's say. JCM 880, what am I doing? There we go. JCM 802, there we go, because I've already got a JCM 800. There we go. And now it's all updated. You can see on the left hand side, there it is. There's my original that I made up. Now you can go to the Hotone community and download this patch if you wish. And that will save you the bother of actually doing all this. But it's really good to do this because it helps you build patches. And I'm going to be building some more patches and presets for you on all sorts of amps. Check if you've got a Vailton GP5 or GP50 or fancy one as a spare. Let's say you had this as a main rig for gigging, for example, and you wanted something as a spare just in case, you never know. Then the GP5s and GP50s are brilliant, and I've done loads of patch builds for those. They're super inexpensive. I mean, this is definitely a step up, but you know, they are great products. So that is how to make the JCM 800 patch. Please like and subscribe. You know, give us a notification bell as well, so that you get all the latest notifications from my channel. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Goodbye.